Hi everyone! Thanks for joining me today for this webinar on using the Business Event Canvas to design impactful business events. I'm really excited to share my insights with you. It looks like people are still joining, but I'll get started so we stay on schedule. I did promise that this would be really quick. My name is Kathy. I bring over 7 years of experience in the event management space in Sweden. For 4 of those years, I coordinated events for Stockholm food movement, where I successfully built a thriving community of 1,000 individuals in Stockholm who are passionate about innovation, sustainability, and the future of food. I've also been deeply engaged in Stockholm's startup ecosystem and have run 2 companies of my own. Today, I focus on supporting event managers by creating impactful event photography. Throughout my journey, I've developed a deep understanding of what it takes to create engaging and meaningful events that connect people and drive business results. When I organized events, I would sometimes meet people who wanted my help to arrange their own event. And I would always ask them, what do you want to achieve? Because for me, that is the basis, the cornerstone for designing every little thing that goes into it. Surprisingly, the answer from many people was, I don't know, or I haven't thought about that. And for me, that was just mind-blowing because I approach every process in a very logical manner. And in my mind, everything has a cause and effect. So to want to arrange an event without any clear goals in mind just didn't make any sense to me. When I was a business mentor, I was asked to run a workshop to teach early-stage founders how to create multiplier events. So I spent some time putting down my approach and ended up designing the Business Event Canvas, what we're going to go through today. This is the same structured approach that I've been using to design events for companies, and as a framework it works really well for entrepreneurs and non-event management professionals to easily conceptualize and plan successful events. So this tool draws inspiration from the Lean Business Model Canvas. So it's very intuitive for anyone who's familiar with lean startups, business development, or even marketing. I know how busy everyone is, so this is going to be a super short jam-packed session where we'll explore each part of the canvas so you know how to implement it for your future events. I'm going to be throwing out a lot of information, so you might want to have pen and paper ready. If you have any questions, I'd like you to write them down and save them for the end so we can keep this session short and sweet. Alright, let's start by defining what the Business Event Canvas is. This is a strategic framework that serves as a visual tool for mapping out your event's purpose, goals, and key components in a very straightforward manner. By clearly outlining these elements, you can create a solid foundation to ensure that every decision you make during the planning process aligns with your objectives and helps you to achieve your business goals. You can think of it as a roadmap that guides you from the initial concept through to the execution. By the end of our session today, you'll understand how to use each section of the canvas effectively, and I hope you'll feel empowered to design events that really resonate with your target audience. Okay, let's dive into the first section, your purpose. Here you articulate what you aim to achieve with your business. Not your event, your business. By clarifying your business purpose, you lay the groundwork for everything that follows. So here you should write a clear and concise purpose statement. Aim for 1 or 2 sentences that summarize your company's main objective. I find that it can be helpful to ask myself, what change do I want to see as a result of my business? For instance, if your goal is to increase awareness about sustainability in the food industry, that's what you should write down. Maybe you offer financing solutions for small businesses to help them grow, or perhaps you run a creative agency and your goal is to help drive business growth for female entrepreneurs. Write down your business purpose here. Next, we focus on defining your short-term goals. What immediate outcomes do you want to achieve as a result of your event? Here is where you can define what you want to achieve with the event. It could be brand awareness, consumer engagement, more revenue, increasing education of potential customers, for example. When you write down your short-term goals, you should try to be as specific as possible so you can use them later on to quantify your success. So you really want to make sure that your goals are SMART, S-M-A-R-T, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. When I run an event, for example, I might aim to collect 100 new leads within a week of the event. That's SMART. You can use different tools to set benchmarks for measuring your success as well. For example, you can use Google Analytics to track your website traffic, see if you have more leads coming in through your website forms, or compare your social media engagement. It is really important to align your short-term goals with the purpose of your business. I'll take the company Havredals as an example. So Havredals is a company in Uppsala that sells oat milk and plant-based protein. And the purpose is to reduce the climate impact of meat and dairy consumption by providing plant-based alternatives. If they were to run an event, one short-term goal could be to have 50 people taste their products during the event. Setting clear goals here will help guide your planning and decide on what activities you will hold. Okay, now it's time to identify your stakeholders. And here I like to move outwards and take a very macro view. Think about who benefits from your business, who has an influence over your business, who does your business affect. So this could include customers, partners, press, politicians, influencers, suppliers, distributors, even the wider community. Understanding who your stakeholders are allows you to tailor your approach to make sure that their interests and needs are at the front and center of your design. So any one business can have many stakeholders, so it can be really useful to create a stakeholder map and get it all down on paper. It's good to list every group in detail how they benefit from, influence, or affect your business. This helps in prioritizing who to engage and how to address their expectations. Now we move back in and focus on your target group. Which specific stakeholder should you engage in your event? So this step involves going back to your short-term goals to identify your ideal audience. Often there could be multiple stakeholders that you can engage in different ways to achieve one single goal. But for the sake of this exercise, I recommend choosing just one to be your target group for your event to keep things nice and simple. Who will you select as your target group? Which stakeholder is the most appropriate to engage to achieve your short-term goals? Write it down. Okay. I know I'm pushing this really quick, but Okay, let's talk about your assumptions. What do you think you know about your target group? So writing down your assumptions is crucial because it provides a baseline for designing your activities. For example, we might make the assumption that people who care about sustainability are mostly women over 30 who have children and probably won't attend events in the evening because that's maybe when they're spending time with their family. It can be good to think about what their baseline for knowledge is as well to be able to offer appropriate activities during the event. I want you to remember that your assumptions are simply what you think, I can't emphasize this enough, so it is so important to challenge your assumptions later on with data. For example, if you assume your audience prefers webinars, validate that with feedback from your target group before you go ahead and arrange a webinar. Sometimes our assumptions can be completely in the wrong direction, and if we go ahead and arrange the event based on our incorrect assumptions, we can end up with really poor results. As a note, it's good practice to regularly review and adjust your assumptions based on the data that you collect. Okay, now let's talk about activities. What will you offer your target group during the event? Each activity should work with the assumptions that you have about your target group and help you to achieve your short-term goals. When I was running Stockholm Food Movement, we were approached by an organization called the Swedish Institute to create an inspirational event and highlight how startups in the Balkans were driving innovation in the food system. Our target group was young professionals who were interested in sustainability and innovation. So the company founders came to Stockholm and gave a short peppy talk about their businesses and how they were creating positive change. And then we invited all of the participants to have dinner where every aspect was chosen for its social or environmental value. The food was cooked by migrants who had difficulty entering the work market in Sweden and were being trained in catering and menu development so they could start their own businesses. The beer was sourced from a company that was fighting against hidden slavery. The plates were edible and biodegradable, and the cutlery was made from seaweed. We took over a co-working space for social entrepreneurs and created an environment that provided a unique experience that worked really, really well. So you don't need to stick to workshops and keynote speeches or webinars with breakout rooms. You can be as creative as you want. The more fun and unusual your activities are, the more memorable your event and your business will be. So if you have a lot of ideas, don't hold back. Just remember that whatever you choose needs to contribute to achieving your short-term goals. Alright, next step, value add. How will your target audience benefit from attending? What will they get out of it? This step is exactly the same as defining the value proposition of your products and services if you own your own business. And understanding this value will help shape your event content and marketing strategies. So what you want to do here is clearly communicate the benefits of attending the event based on the activities that you have chosen and in alignment with the target group that you have selected. I know it's a lot. If you've decided to hold a webinar to educate potential customers, you can talk about all the concrete takeaways that your attendees will have after tuning in. If you've had similar events in the past, you can use testimonials or case studies from past events to illustrate the value that you provide to drive more registrations. Many times I've spoken to event attendees who've shared what value they received from attending an event, and it's been something that I haven't even thought about. So it's really worth asking people for their feedback afterwards. You can also do things like provide exclusive content, networking opportunities, or even arrange a giveaway that can only be accessed by attending the event itself. Alright, moving on to assets. Here I want you to think about what records will be useful to collect. This includes things like contact details, attendee feedback, engagement metrics, videos, and photos. Just as a side note, as an event photographer, I've noticed that when people share photos at their events, they tend to share pictures of the speakers. I mean, yes, it builds on your social capital to highlight any higher level speakers or interesting people you featured. But, and I say this with a lot of emphasis, it is far more important to show your audience and their experience. Were they excited? Was it interesting? Were they engaged? This is what drives people to your next event. Now, everyone has been to an event that sounded great when they signed up, but was hugely disappointing in real life. So if you can show your network that your events are different, that people have a great experience when they join in, you'll be well on your way to building a fantastic community of people who come back again and again. If you're new to events, a general tip here is to have a post-event survey ready to send out to get feedback when the event is over, so you can get details while the experience is still fresh in people's minds. Don't be afraid to ask specific questions about what attendees enjoyed and what could be improved, and let people know that you've taken their feedback on board. That is also really important. Don't forget to bring in a professional photographer to document the key moments as well. This creates valuable content for your brand and social media and enhances your event's credibility. Remember that there are different types of photographers out there. Some are great at weddings, others specialize in product photography, fashion shoots, corporate headshots, or personal branding. When you're holding a business event, you want someone who is a professional event photographer. They'll be able to understand your vision and goals and be able to anticipate important moments before they happen. If you're starting off with a super low budget, you can make do with taking photos on your mobile phone. But if you do have a budget, I would 110% recommend hiring a professional. As an example, I did a bit of work with a network called Founders Live last year. It was a brand new network for entrepreneurs and they were struggling to fill the room even after a few months. I came on board and took some professional photos during their events. I saw engagement on LinkedIn jumped by 61% after the first event. After the second event, I could see that speakers had started sharing the professional photos of themselves, and user-generated content exploded by 300% in 2 months. Every event afterwards was fully booked. In many cases, having a photographer available makes it way more appealing for people to contribute to an event as a speaker as well. So yes, getting a professional photographer really helps to spread your message, generate interest, and increase engagement. Alright, let's talk about call to action. Think about what actions you want attendees to take. How can you weave these into your activities so it feels natural for your attendees to take action? And how can they help you to achieve your short-term goals? Remember to repeat your call to action in your marketing materials and during your event. If you want to drive sales, you can use incentives such as discounts for early registration or exclusive content for those who sign up at the event. And make sure your call to action aligns with your short-term goals. For example, if you want to grow your email list, make sure signing up is a central part of your event experience. We're almost at the end now, so let's talk about space. In order to facilitate the fantastic experience you designed for your specific target group, with the assumptions that you have, what requirements do you need from a venue? Do you need a microphone or audio-visual equipment? What is accessible for your target group? Are support staff included? The venue brand also makes a difference. If your event is about impact or entrepreneurship in Sweden, a venue like Norrskén will do a great job of enhancing your message. So think about how the venue aligns with the goals and theme of your event. Don't forget to check technical requirements early, as well as things like parking or accessibility details, so you can share that information with your guests early on. Finally, we've reached the communication strategy. This is where you outline a solid plan for promoting your event, how you will engage your attendees during the event, and follow up afterwards to create lasting connections. As you create your strategy, keep referring back to your list of assets so you can make sure that you don't miss out on collecting anything that you will need later. If you plan to share photos on social media to engage your digital network afterwards, you'll need to arrange for someone to take photos and ask your attendees to give their consent beforehand to comply with GDPR. I recommend creating a content calendar to organize your promotional activities leading up to the event. If you're really well organized, you can create all of your content in one go and set it up for scheduled publishing, which makes it so much easier. Even if you're just planning something really small and you're relying on organic growth and word of mouth, you absolutely need to start promoting your event at least 2 weeks beforehand. I recommend using social media to build anticipation and engage with your audience in the lead up to the event. And develop a follow-up strategy to thank your attendees and get feedback. You can send a post-event email with highlights, special offers, another call to action, and links to resources. After the event, use your photos to create content for follow-up communication. By sharing highlights, testimonials, and key takeaways with images, you can keep the conversation alive and keep building on the engagement. I know that was a lot of information. I've been using this approach for many years now, and I found that using the event canvas, the business event canvas, as a framework adds a layer of structure and organization in designing events that helps companies to achieve their business goals. By focusing on these key concepts, you now have the building blocks to create meaningful experiences that support your brand. If you would like a more in-depth approach on how to think when designing successful events, I published a book called How to Create Successful Events to Grow Your Brand. You can also purchase the Business Event Canvas if you'd like to use this framework with your team. Just send me an email and we can sort it all out. Thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you found this session informative and you learned something new. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about applying the Business Event Canvas to your upcoming events, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Bye!